Recording.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening for our branding workshop hosted by the Capital Region Small Business Development Center in partnership with the Jackson Ward Collective. Tonight, we have Janna Hall with us, and she will be leading our branding workshop. First of all, can we just take one moment to appreciate the beauty that is this entire background of Janna's and their glasses? I don't know about you, but I've been really tired of looking at blank and boring backgrounds for workshops and Zoom calls. So this is incredibly refreshing and gives my eyes a nice break. With that being said, we do still have people who are joining, which is totally fine. And I'll be adding people to the workshop as we go. Bold and beautiful is correct, yes. And up until then, we have until an hour and 15 minutes. I don't think we'll go that long, but on the off chance that we do, we've built in some buffer time for some questions. Janna will also be holding an office hour session with us, which will email you all the information afterwards and the Zoom link for that should you have any questions after her workshop. With that said, Janna, I'm going to kick it right on over to you. And if folks would want to show your faces, that would be lovely. If not, no pressure. I just know that as a presenter, it is lovely to see some faces while you're out there talking to your computer screen. So have a wonderful workshop session, and Janna, take it away.
Thank you so much. Let's see here. I want to get everything squared away on the side panel here. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. It is a pleasure to be here to talk about something that I love so much, that I love doing every day with clients and love learning about and sharing, everything that I've learned, which is branding. So to give you some information about me, Janna Hall, I am the founder of Leap Innovative Group. We are a creative digital marketing and brand development agency based here in Richmond, but we serve clients all across the country. And we do digital marketing strategy, brand development, anything creative and digital, copywriting. We love to write and tell stories. And so that's how we serve our clients. And that's what I'm super excited to be here to talk to you all about. I don't know if you all are all business owners or you're interested in building a personal brand, but I think branding is one of those things that we don't really think about that much and, putting a strategy behind, but there is so much to learn about branding and how you can build your own solid brand. And so I will just jump right in are we good to go? All right, and so if you have questions, I do talk fast and I can tend to speed through things. So if at any time I'm talking too fast and you need me to slow down, just drop a note in the chat. If you have any questions, I will pause between sections just to make sure that I'm not rambling off. So if you have questions, please also put them down in the chat and I'll be sure to stop after each section and we'll talk. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay. Are we all good?
Yes.
All right. So building and growing a powerful personal brand. Like I said, this is something that as we begin to build our business or as we begin to think about ourselves as professionals in the 9-to-5 space, I think, it's really important that we are very conscious about the brand that we're building, the message we're sending, and really the story we're telling about ourselves and our business. And so I'm going to talk about branding, of course, from the personal standpoint, but definitely with the, from the business standpoint as you're growing, especially with it being that we're here with the Jackson Ward Collective, a lot of business owners. So I'm super excited to dive in. So, all right, what we'll cover. Of course, we'll get into the basics of what branding is. I'll go over positioning statements, what they are and how to create your own. And just a heads up, you all will definitely have homework that we won't be doing today, but I definitely want you to take notes and have some things to work on to make sure you're building your brand properly. We'll go over brand essence. I'll give some examples of people who have built a solid, strong brand essence, how to identify it, how to identify your own. We'll go into brand voice, what it is and how to create your own. Brand awareness, how to generate brand awareness, how to get eyes on you and create a consistent relationship with people who are supporting you. Some social media do's and don'ts, because of course the go-to place to start promoting your brand is social media. And then I'll leave you with a few things to remember, and then we'll wrap up with the Q&A. Like I said, if you have any questions throughout these sections, definitely drop them in the chat. And if they're kind of quick things we can go over, I'll get to them then. Okay, so what is branding? Branding is the story you tell about yourself and your business to create a positive perception of your company in your customer's mind. It's what defines you or your business from the next person or business, from the person or business next to you. And I like to say it's similar to reputation. It's what people say about you when you aren't there to say it for yourself. A lot of people, in all of our fields, none of us are, one of one. No one's doing a business that's never been done before. Most of us are not. And so, how do you stand apart in a market that might be saturated? How do you stand apart in an industry that might already have lots of qualified candidates, and you want to just be able to separate yourself from the rest and really shine? This is where your brand comes in. This is where your story comes in. And this is really how you just set yourself apart. I like to call it your cherry on top. And in a world where there are a million people who do what you do, what makes you different? What's your cherry on top? And so that's really where branding comes in. Like I say, it's similar to reputation. A lot of people, we can't be everywhere talking about our business on our own. We rely on people who are not, who are in rooms that we're not, to speak on our behalf and to talk about what we do. And so, reputation, it's work ethic, it's the quality of your work, it's your service, it's the quality of your product. All of those things kind of go into the brand. And, you really want to make sure that you're being, like I said, intentional about the story you're telling about yourself and about your business to create a positive perception in your customer's mind. So a strong brand answers 3 questions. Who am I, or who are we? Who do I want to be, or who do we want to be? And who do we want people to perceive us to be? And hence, the answer to these 3 questions should be the same. So I'll break this down a little bit. I think, definitely with branding, you kind of have to get into the nitty gritty of, who you are. And a lot of people don't like to really think about this, because it seems so, like meta, like, oh my God, who am I? Like you're sitting on a therapist's couch and talking about who you are. But it's really important that you have this strong kind of self-awareness as a brand, as a person. You need to know who you are. And a lot of times who we are and who we want to be are not in alignment. We have, all of us are working, we're growing, we're evolving. And so, it's really important to make sure at every turn we're able to kind of align who we are with who we want to be. I'll give an example, tell a story about a brand that I've really been kind of keeping my eye on lately. And if you follow me on Instagram, I shared a few snippets from this documentary that I watched the other day on Hulu. It's on the Barbie brand, and it's called Tiny Shoulders. If you are into branding and you want to learn more about how an iconic brand can evolve, this is definitely a must watch. But what I loved about that documentary is they really went through these 3 questions as they were going through their rebrand. So they had to be honest with themselves and their brand's blind spots. Who are we? We are a company who makes toy dolls. We wanted to create this doll that was for kids, but was an adult, shaped like an adult, or in the image of an adult, who was able to show girls the possibilities of what could be. Each doll was, the career Barbies. They were in careers back in the day that women hadn't even broken into yet. And so they knew that they were, this strong, iconic brand, household name that little girls loved, looked up to, collected, all of those things. But they also understood that they were also known for perpetuating unrealistic body types and really perpetuating, insecurities in young girls. And they, compared themselves to, this unrealistic body standard. And so that was the who are we? We're this great brand, we do all these things, but we also understand that this is our blind spot. Who do we want to be? Well, we don't want to be that brand that perpetuates unrealistic body types. We want to be a brand that truly uplifts all girls. And who do we want people to perceive us to be? They understood that their perception was kind of shaky in the public, but they wanted to be perceived as an inclusive brand that made all types of dolls for all types of girls. And they knew that they needed to make some tweaks so that who they are, who they want to be, and how they're perceived were all aligned. And so now we see they've done this rebrand where they've acknowledged their blind spots, and they've been able to say, we are an inclusive brand. We do make these dolls for your girls that inspire all girls of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Who do we want to be? That's exactly where they want to be. And now that perception has changed. And so all three of those things align. So as you're thinking about your own brand, ask yourself those questions. Who am I? Who do I want to be? And how do I want to be perceived? And make sure those things line up. And it takes some work, it takes some time, but it's definitely, that's the starting point of building a strong brand, is that self-awareness that you have to maintain no matter how big you get. Next slide. Okay. So personal positioning statement or business positioning statement, this is something that I work with my clients on. When we do consultations, we're trying to do some brand development. We really start with this big statement. It's every powerful brand begins with a person who knows who they are and what they believe. That's what a leader is, and that's how they effectively lead others. So like I said, you have to be self-aware, you have to be sure of yourself, and you have to be confident in what you're bringing to your audience or what you're bringing to the market. And so you have to ask yourself, who are you? What do you believe? And what's your message? And so this is a really fun activity I do with my clients. And it's really kind of a brain dump of like, who are you? I'm a mother, I'm a creative, I'm this, I'm that. What do you believe? And, think about it in terms of your business or your industry. And then what's your overall message to the public? And this will kind of be your North Star. This is going to be something that you can point back to whenever you're creating new content, whenever you are offering something new to the public. You keep this positioning statement in mind, and also kind of serves for some as a mission statement, but you keep it in mind to always maintain that perspective and make sure that you're being consistent in how you position yourself to the public. So, of course, your first homework is to, or second piece of homework is to create your own personal or business positioning statement. Like I said, that says, who are you? What do you believe, and what do you stand for? And so I'll give you a couple of examples that I've done with a person who's running a business and also just a business in general. So this Michelle, she is a linguist who teaches, she teaches foreign language and also coaches foreign language teachers on how to, better serve the people that they're teaching and how to really communicate effectively using foreign language. So Michelle is a creative and passionate linguist who shares her love of culture and sociolinguistics in order to cultivate meaningful relationships using the power of language. I know that's a mouthful, but I'll read it again. Michelle is a creative and passionate linguist who shares her love of culture and sociolinguistics in order to cultivate meaningful relationships using the power of language. So this is right here, this is her positioning statement. This is who she is at her core. And that kind of guides her as she grows her business. So we know, Michelle is, she's creative and passionate. She loves cultures and she loves the art of sociolinguistics. And she uses those two things to cultivate meaningful relationships, both with her students and with other teachers. And she believes in the power of language. So language connects us. A lot of people use it as a barrier, but it really is something that unites us. And so that is Michelle's positioning statement. As she goes on and grows her business and grows her teaching courses and begins to expand her offering, she keeps that in mind. She wants to make sure that she's always thinking creatively, being guided by her passion, incorporating culture, language, of course, and of course, building relationships. That's the biggest thing, is building those powerful relationships. The next one is a client that I worked with out in Austin, Texas. It's a kind of a birthing center, and they focus on, of course, doula, but then post-birth support. And so Rooted in Love Birth Care is a community of advocates who empower, encourage, and educate families on the realities of the birthing experience and parenting journey. We believe in the transformative power of the birthing experience and work to connect families to resources and options that allow them to live fearlessly on behalf of their new or growing family. So again, this is their North Star. They want to make sure that they are always showing that they are a community of advocates. It's not just one person, but it's a community of people, doulas and therapists, and all the resources that people who are preparing to give birth need to have a positive experience, not just during the birth, but after. And so they're making sure that they are educating families on the reality of the birth experience, educating them on the parenting journey, the good and the bad, and really kind of connecting families to the people that they need to be able to, work through fear. A lot of mothers, especially Black mothers, have fear around, giving birth, and we know that the disparities in healthcare and how they're treated during the birthing process. And so, we're really empowering them and equipping them to have the resources and education they need to live fearlessly on behalf of their new and growing families. So, in everything they do, events, online posts, in their website, everything, it points back to this business positioning statement. And so my challenge to you is to create your own about your business, whatever you're doing, even if you need to create one for your position at, your full-time job as you try to move up the ranks and, find new positions, things like that. Always have that personal positioning statement, and that'll really help guide you as you move forward. Excuse me. Okay, any questions about the positioning statements? You have your homework. Like they said, I will have office hours tomorrow. So if you wanted to take a shot at creating yours tonight or tomorrow afternoon and you want to run it by me, I'll be happy to look at it. But if there are no questions, we will move right along. So next up is brand essence, which is kind of my favorite part of the whole branding thing. Brand essence is the intangible attribute that separates your brand from your competition's brand. Again, and you'll hear me say this a lot when it comes to branding, your North Star. Everything points to that. That's where you have to always check back, have that internal kind of gut check. Am I leaning towards my North Star? Am I following my North Star? Your brand essence is not always articulated to the public, but it's felt by the audience. So it's very emotional. It's something that you just can't say, oh, our brand essence is this. That's not something that's public facing. It's more so that's what they feel. And it's reliable because it's consistent. So you know that when you're going to interact with this particular brand, you're going to feel this way because it's consistent. So I'm going to go into some examples of some larger companies, and then I'm going to go into some examples of individual people who have built large brands off of, or individual people who have built a strong brand that has then birthed businesses and different business ventures, and also how the different avenues that people can interact with your brand to really capture the essence. So Walt Disney World, their brand essence is magical. When you think of Disney, you think of magic, and they do use magic in a lot of their messaging, but it feels like magic. When you go to Disney World, it's magic. When you're on, I remember when I was young watching Disney Channel, it's like, you're on Disney Channel and they're doing that little thing. It's magical. Everything about the Disney brand feels so magical. The stories they tell, it all seems like it's just this, incredible world that probably never happens in real life, but it just, you want to be there. And the ways you interact with them, you can interact with them in person, of course, in Disney, at Disney World or Disneyland. You can interact with them digitally. They have, the TV channel, they have Disney Plus. There are a couple different ways you can interact with the Disney brand. Next up is Volvo. Volvo is known for being safe. I know a lot of expectant mothers, friends of mine, they looked at Volvos when they wanted to, find the best car for their family. Volvo is a brand that's known for being just a safe car. And so, of course, they'll say it in some of their messaging because they've won awards for being, the #1 safe car to drive and those things. But the feel of Volvo, it feels like safety. It's not something that's luxurious. It's not something that's, going to be eye-catching on the road, but it's going to be a safe, reliable vehicle. And that's kind of the brand that they've set for themselves. That's their overall brand essence. And the way you interact with them is through product, of course, and your overall experience driving the car. And lastly, we have Hallmark, which we all know Hallmark is like, the lovey feeling, warm feeling, and their brand essence is caring, shared. So we know Hallmark cards, those are, they are known for having the best sentimental messages. Some greeting card brands like Papyrus, they focus more on eye-catching aesthetics and, just visually stunning, but the inside of the card is usually blank or has just like a happy birthday, something basic. But Hallmark is really all about tugging on your heartstrings. No matter the occasion, there's something that's very heartfelt. And then you move over from the greeting card to Hallmark Channel. So they moved over to TV. And I mean, it does not get more caring and loving and heartstring than the Hallmark Channel. Christmas time, I mean, there's like 80 different new movies with the same exact plot, and they all tug on my heartstrings. It's all about love and, magic of Christmas and, family and all those good things. And even on the off season, they have these wonderful Hallmark love stories that my mom loves to watch every day. And that, again, caring, shared. It's all about this bond. It's all about just creating that loving, warm feeling. And so those are the brand essences, if that's a word, of Disney, Volvo, and Hallmark. Now I'm going to move into individual people who have built a solid brand essence, or have built their brand off of their own individual brand essence, and then have gone to build incredible businesses and ventures. So first one, Morgan DeBon. I love Morgan. She is the founder and CEO of Blavity, which Blavity is a portfolio that's created by and for Black millennials. They dabble into tech, entrepreneurship, so many different areas. And her brand essence, when I engage with Morgan and her brand, I get the feel that she's a limitless entrepreneur. What she promotes out there is limitless. I mean, she was one of the very few female Black founders to raise $1 million in venture capital funds. So she's just, limitless. She's young. I think she's only 31 or 32, or she'll be 32 this year. She's incredibly young, but she is so powerful. And she really gives off this energy that you are limitless and that we can be limitless entrepreneurs. And so how her brand essence comes to life. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Are we good?
Yeah,
okay.
We're good.
Sorry. So how her brand essence comes to life is, there we go. We can interact with the limitless entrepreneur through, of course, her Blavity platform, which is, Blavity is all about resources. It's about, what's happening, newsworthy that's in the Black community. Of course, entrepreneurship. It's all about, being a resource for all things Black millennials. It's an incredible platform. If you aren't familiar with it, definitely get involved with it and engage with them. Also, Afrotech. This is one of the largest tech conferences for Black tech professionals in the world, and that you're giving an experience. You're also building a community, and you also have resources, of course. So limitless entrepreneurship is felt through the experience of attending this event, of connecting with other people that are in the tech industry, talking about breaking barriers in the tech industry in Silicon Valley, and then, of course, building that community and sharing resources. Next up is Travel Noir. Blavity actually acquired Travel Noir in 2017, I believe. And Travel Noir is a platform that is all about Black travel, normalizing Black people traveling the world, going to all these countries that we might not ever imagine was possible for us, traveling the world, seeing new things, meeting new people. And so we're able to experience this limitless entrepreneurship through the experience, what she's offering in terms of experience, the Black travel, and then building a community. This is people from all over the world are able to connect and travel, take trips, etc. And so that's a limitless entrepreneur through experience and community. And then lastly, she has a Work Smart program where she is coaching entrepreneurs on how to raise money, how to navigate entrepreneurship. And she also has a weekly newsletter. And so again, that is sharing resources, that is taking advantage of coaching, and then again, building a community of entrepreneurship. So limitless entrepreneur is Morgan DeBon's brand essence, and it's felt in all of these powerful, powerful ways. Next up, we have Issa Rae. We all love Issa Rae. She is an actor on the show that we all love, Insecure, that's ending. But we now know why it's ending, is because she is launching her Hooray production company. And Issa is creatively for the culture. That is the essence that I get when I interact with her brand. She's creatively for the culture. She's always putting on new Black creatives. She's always telling new creative Black stories that are different from what we've ever seen. She's showing the complexity of Black people in this, in mainstream media, and it's wonderful to see. And she is personified. I'm rooting for everybody Black. She is that personified. And so that could probably be her sub brand essence line is rooting for everybody Black, because that's really what she's doing with her shows and now with her Hooray production company. So creatively for the culture, how can we engage with her? So Hooray is a production platform that is tapping into multiple different areas. They actually have they just signed a $40 million deal with HBO Warner Media. And so with that, they have 16 different production projects in the works right now, all focused on Black creatives, content creation. And so we're able to see that in film and TV development. They're developing docuseries for HBO. They're doing all these different TV shows and movies. We know that Issa has, kind of dabbled into film more recently too. And so this is really kind of going to be under the Hooray umbrella, is all the great content we're going to be able to get through film and TV, creatively for the culture. Next up is radio. That's all about audio content. That's going to be where the music, where they're going to be doing scoring for the different TV shows. It's going to be where they're producing, organic and original content. That's going to be just audio only, so like podcasts and things like that. Again, Black creators telling Black stories creatively for the culture through audio. Then they have Hooray Digital Arm, which is online first content. I think after we see this with how Insecure now has, or they started their, after show thing that it comes on TV, but taking that same concept and moving it over to digital. So content that you can only get online, or you get online first, as it says, online first content. So really that exclusive first look content, digital content, that's going to be housed under Hooray Digital. And then on a separate end, she has Hilltop Coffee and Kitchen, which she co-founded in Inglewood. And so her whole mission was, we want Black people who don't live in gentrified areas to be able to enjoy, the wonderful coffee shops and all the community and everything we get from coffee shops that we see popping up in gentrified areas. I want to bring that to Inglewood. And so that's housed under her businesses as well. And so through all of this, we get digital content, we get experiences, in-person experiences with the coffee and kitchen, we get products and services, everything creatively for the culture. So that's what I get when I interact with Issa Rae's brand. And I'm excited to see how all these projects pan out. And then of course, because we are all from Richmond, I think most of us are from Richmond, Kelly Lemon. She is co-founder of Jackson Ward Collective. She's a social entrepreneur. And her brand essence, as she has said herself, dope and different. I mean, this is, really thinking about, what's going on here in our city? How can we do it differently? How can we bring new experiences that really, speak to what people in Richmond want and need? So how can we take, our everyday experience and just make it doper, make it more different? And that's really what Kelly is able to do through many ventures, including the Jackson Ward Collective that she founded with Rashida and Melody. It's been incredible. And of course, they're the reason we're all here today. And so let's dive into how Kelly's brand essence of being dope and different has plays out in various platforms. So of course, the Urban Hang Suite, the coffee shop, it's an experience. She said before, like, this isn't just a coffee shop. This is this experience. It's a lounge. It's, so much more. It's where we can engage and really, just drink in the culture. Of course, product and service, coffee and great service, and then community. This is the hub for people to come together, connect, to collaborate, to talk about different things happening within the community, within businesses, share ideas and collaborate. So that's how we get to experience dope and different in these ways. We have the Art of Noise, which is, of course, an experience in community through the music, everyone enjoying, vibing out, dancing, etc. We have the Coffee with Strangers. So that's a digital way we can enjoy the dope and different brand. interviews with people throughout the city, in different industries and professions. And so it's, giving resources, sharing information, educating, and then of course, building community and supporting the people that are featured on her show. And I believe it's a podcast too. And then last but certainly not least, the Jackson Ward Collective is an incredible hub where we can get resources. We have a digital platform on the Mighty Networks. It's a great app if you all aren't using it. It's a great way to connect with other entrepreneurs, other people in business, and really share what you know, make connections to other people, and just overall build a strong community. And so I mentioned these 3 people and their platforms because a lot of times when we're building a brand, we think the only place that our brand can shine is on social media. We decide, okay, I want a brand. This is who I am. This is my business. And let me just like put social media out there and like flood and we'll be good. But the reality is you have to diversify because we don't own these platforms, okay? Instagram could decide tomorrow that you might have posted something that, was against their terms and conditions, which change as the wind blows, and they can take your post down or they can take your page down. They can deactivate something. And so it's important to build community or to have other areas where people can experience your brand, places that you own. So websites are a good place. A newsletter is a great place. If you have a blog, those things are great platforms. And especially if you have a product or service, if you can offer an experience, build a community. All of these are great, solid ways where you can really have your brand essence shine and let people connect with you, and you aren't really at mercy to Instagram deciding that the algorithm has changed and your post now won't be seen. So diversify. So your next piece of homework is to pull up your preferred online channels. So we know that a lot of people, especially when you're early on building a brand, it's not really realistic to have, huge communities or, large experiences, especially in COVID. A lot of things are virtual now. So my homework to you is to pull up your preferred online channel. So whether it's your website, if you do want to have someone, analyze your social media, maybe you have a blog, maybe you want someone to just kind of engage with the process of becoming a customer, engage with their actual physical product or service, and pair up with someone to have them dissect their experience. So dissect your page, your Instagram, website, etc., and have them guess your brand essence. And of course, you won't have to, no one's going to get exactly, word for word, but the overall vibe should be there. Whatever I'm posting, whatever I'm sharing, whatever I'm presenting to the public, I need the vibe to be there too. So I need it to be consistent. I need, the public to be able to pick up what I'm putting down, basically. And so identify the areas where your essence is felt. So a lot of you, like I said, a lot of us are kind of, we're dealing with social right now. We're all online, but identify other areas where people can engage with and really feel your brand essence. So again, we have community, resources, product, services, digital, and anything else that you you feel like your brand can fit. Really think about those touch points. All right, any questions about brand essence? I know that was a lot. And if not, we can, of course, wait till the end. Okay. And so some questions to consider, at a glance, is it clear what you do? If I'm scrolling through your social media and I've spent, 3 minutes on your page or 2 minutes or 1 minute, do I have a feeling of what you do? Do I get the gist of what you do? And do I really kind of understand your overall message? Is it clear? And then using 1 to 3 descriptive words or phrases, what would you say is your own brand essence? And I think we have a question. Oh, thank you. Just comment. All right, so that's your homework. Questions to consider. Think about that. Develop your brand essence. And let's move on. Next up, we have brand voice. Brand voice is, just put plainly, how do you speak to your audience? What is the tone? What is the feel, the energy that I get? Are you someone who is a little nicer and sweeter, more encouraging and, educational? Are you someone who is very kind of straight to the point, very brash? And, that people have those kind of brands too, where they're like, no nonsense, This is what it is. They might be vulgar, they might curse, but that's a part of their brand voice. And so how do you speak to your audience? Whether it's online, whether it's on your website, whether it's in person, because that also matters, whether it's just in one-on-one interactions with your customers or clients or your colleagues, how do you speak to your audience? And so I will use myself as an example, because I am one who, a lot of my, I've used my platform a lot of times to inspire. I'm very spirited and I like to be relatable. And so that is kind of what I have decided my brand voice is: inspirational, spirited, relatable. And so that comes across, I make sure that it comes across in everything that I do. So again, using that concept of a North Star, when you're creating content, when you're engaging, making sure that your brand is consistent. And so I'll use two examples here. This is one I encourage all of my clients when we're doing our consultations and doing branding and they want to reintroduce their brand to the public. I always say, do a reintroduction post. And so here's mine, making sure that it's inspirational, spirited, relatable. Got some new friends on here. Hey, new followers, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Janna Hall. I'm a dreamer, audacious entrepreneur, and a lover of people. I love to meet new people, connect for business or play, and get excited at the opportunity to learn as much about people as possible. I'm curious, love to ask questions, and love sharing open and honest conversations with people who don't mind a little vulnerability. And so that's just a snippet of mine. And that's really, I hoped that when I posted that, people who were new to following me could see that, this is kind of the vibe I'm going to get from her: inspirational, spirited, relatable. Another one was International Day of the Girl. Let's celebrate girls who consistently show up for themselves. The girls who pursue their wildest dreams despite fear and self-doubt. The girls who commit to becoming the best version of themselves day in and day out. That girl is me. Today, I'm celebrating who I was yesterday, who I am today, and who I'll grow to become tomorrow. I see her, I love her, I am her. And so again, thinking about being inspirational, spirited, relatable, those are all things that I try to make sure come across in everything that I do, in everything that I post. And because I am on a bit of an Instagram hiatus right now, a lot of my brand voice has to come, by way of these type of workshops, one-on-one consultations. But I just try to make sure that I'm consistent no matter what. And so your next piece of homework is to decide on 3 to 4 words you want to describe your brand voice. And with each caption, post, video, whatever you are doing, however you're engaging, refer back to them to make sure it aligns with your words. And so, like I said, think about who you are. This goes all the way back to the beginning. Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to be perceived? Those are things you need to take into consideration and make sure you're showing up authentically when you answer those questions so that you can come out with a brand voice that's sustainable. If I weren't someone who always tried to inspire everyone and try to uplift and encourage and be your spirited sidekick, that would not be sustainable for me to have as my brand voice and something that's, also part of my brand essence. That's just, it's not sustainable. You'll get tired of putting on a show. And so you have to really think about who you truly are and how you want to speak to your audience and the best way to resonate with your audience. And so decide on those words, go through your posts, go through the things that you post and share and see if it aligns. And if not, then you know that moving forward, you have some tweaking to do. And if it does align, then you are on great track, and kudos to you. Any questions on brand voice before I move on? Okay. Brand awareness. So this is going to be the final piece of the branding puzzle. So remember the rule of 7. It takes an average of 7 interactions with your brand before a conversion takes place. This is something that I try to remind my my clients, people I work with. You can't just post 7 times on Instagram and think that that's going to be it, because one, the way the algorithm works, they're not going to see it all 7 times. And it just takes time. You have to get creative and try different ways of reaching your audience. And so, it takes an average of 7 interactions, 7, them seeing it, them, you engaging with them, not just you wanting them to engage with you. Different, 7 different times of interacting with your brand, of seeing your brand before they can convert to hiring you, to purchasing, all of those things. And, there are plenty of people who I have connected with years ago. We've followed each other and stayed connected loosely through, social media. And after a while, they're like, hey, I see that you're doing XYZ. I would love to set up time to work with you. And so it's, you think that, oh man, I connected with them and they didn't, follow up. They don't want to work with me. Well, it takes time. And so maybe it was that seventh time of me sharing a gem on, on my story, or seventh time of me doing a live, or, sharing stuff. You really have to think about playing the long game, which I'll get to in just a minute. So brand awareness, what are some ways that we can build brand awareness? We talked about the different avenues in the brand essence session, but there are some more. So one, consistency is key. A lot of my clients, they do not like using social media. And unless you have a dedicated person to post for you, if you have budget to hire somebody, then you have to decide on something realistic for you, so that you don't burn out. And so, I encourage people, if you don't have someone who manages your social media, to schedule your posts in advance. That gives you time to sit, to think about what you want to say, to not be so caught up in, looking at what everyone else is doing. It really gives you time to sit and plan out your message, plan out your content, and then schedule them at a cadence that is realistic for how you want to use social media. If you don't want to be on there every day, then don't give yourself this, benchmark of, I have to post every day. That's not going to be sustainable and you're going to burn out. And so consistency is key. Whatever you decide will be your cadence, then just continue that. Schedule that in advance. If you say, I'm going to post once a week, that's going to be great for me. That's what I can commit to. Then be consistent with that once a week. And you can always scale up if you need to. Build an online network. These things right here are great for building an online network. I love, when I'm in at a virtual event, if I see someone and they have something cool on their background, I like their shirt or their glasses. Hey, I love that. Or, hey, great question, in the chat. It's a great way to build your network. But on the social side, you can engage with others, share their content, save their posts. So one thing that we've learned recently is that, likes and comments aren't the biggest metric that Instagram pays attention to. It's now the save button. So you should encourage your friends, your supporters, to save your post, because Instagram flags that as people find that valuable. People want to come back to that. Let's boost her up in the feed. And so, take those actions, collaborate on content, whether you're doing joint Instagram lives or joint Facebook lives or these type of workshops, joint events, in-person events, online events, and then facilitate connections. So I'm always, if I don't have the bandwidth, I like to keep professionals on who do what I do, so that I can say, hey, I don't do that, but so-and-so does. And the same will happen with me. So, facilitate connections, support other people's business, because you have to be interested in order to be interesting. So support their businesses, really good, have goodwill, and just show an eagerness to really just network and support. We have a couple of questions, so I'll just jump. Yep, so recommendations for pre-scheduling posts. So Hootsuite is good, Later is good, Planoly, all of those are good. And Canva does have that functionality. Also for Instagram, if you have an Instagram business page, Facebook has their content creator studio. That's what it's called, the creator studio. And so in the creator studio, you can actually, it syncs, you access it through Facebook, but it syncs to your Instagram. And so you can schedule Instagram and Facebook simultaneously. And because Facebook owns Instagram, it has all the functionality. You can, do the tagging tagging on Instagram from Facebook. You can upload your IGTVs in advance. You can upload your stories in advance, all of those things. Anything you can do in the Instagram app, Facebook has that functionality within their creator studio. And I'm not quite sure if this is still the case, but I know before, Facebook would penalize you for using third-party schedulers once they release their own scheduler. So, everything is about, competition nowadays, and like Facebook wants to own everything. And so, I do encourage you to kind of look and see if your posts perform better with a third party like Hootsuite, Planoly, Canva, Later, or if they perform differently using the Creator Studio. So you can, definitely, you can do both. You can schedule Facebook and Instagram, and they can be completely different posts, but it's a really great tool that I think everyone should, at least check out. And it's free, of course. Other ways to create brand awareness is utilizing multiple mediums. So, just your general posting, unfortunately, is not enough these days. People want diversity in how you're, creating your content. So IGTV, Reels, YouTube videos, TikTok videos. If you're a writer, you have long form content or information you want to share with your community, blogging is great. Medium is a great platform too. And of course, your website, because that is the one place that you own. That's your real estate online. So creating brand awareness. And the thing that I love about using the website, blog, and Medium is that they're search engine optimized. People can find you through Google if they're typing something. If they're searching something, and if you're writing content related to what they're searching, you're likely to come up in the Google search. That's not so much the case with Instagram and these other social media channels. And then, of course, face-to-face or virtual, opportunities to make an impression and nurture your connections online. So I like to, again, if I'm meeting someone in person, I'm not big on business cards. I forget to use them. I forget who they are after I get home from an event. I'm like, wait, who is this person? And who is that person? So what I started doing was, just connecting with them online, connecting with them on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. And because I use my channels kind of as a brand in itself, I don't mind, connecting there and having them see my professional life, because that's a lot of what I post. And so utilize those in-person opportunities and then nurture those connections online. So again, engaging with them. There have been plenty of times, like I said, where someone has come to me years after the fact to work with me because they've seen me constantly in their newsfeed that I'm doing things. And so I may not, if I meet you at a conference, I may not remember that you do, hair. But if I follow you on Instagram or social media and I'm seeing you're posting all your clients and the work you can do, I'm going to be like, oh, when it's time for me to, look for a new hairstylist, you're going to be top of mind. And so that's a great way. You have to nurture your connections online. And okay. I am using, virtual business cards. Yes, that is also I've recently learned about virtual business cards, and they are great. You create your own card using the app, I believe, and you can just scan the QR code and then you're able to save them as a contact in your phone, which is super helpful. And so that is a great resource. Thank you, Sierra, for sharing. Virtual business cards are definitely in style for sure. So like I said before, because a lot of us are kind of building brands and we're still getting to the point where we can have these experiences and we can build a community and things like that, a lot of us do rely on social media to push our brand out. So I did want to share some social media do's and don'ts as you go on and you build your brand online, you grow your brand online. Do ask yourself, is this on brand? So because you have decided your positioning statement, you understand your brand essence, you understand your brand voice, before you post, ask yourself, is this in alignment with who I say I am, who I want to be, how I want to be perceived? Some things might be tempting to post online, but the reality is that if people are connecting with you because they're interested in the brand you're building, you run the risk of losing them as a supporter or a customer or whatever if you begin to post a lot of things that aren't in alignment with who they thought they were getting when they followed you or started engaging with you online. So to that, I say, do create a close friends list. Those are your best friends. There are certain things that I would never talk about on social media because I do have a lot of colleagues who follow me, a lot of people in this professional space in marketing. And I just, it's not their business. And I just don't want to share those things. I'd rather just share them with people who I trust and who I talk about that stuff in person with. And that's fine. That's fine. The close friends list is your BFF. You never want to run into a situation where you have tarnished your brand because you publicized something that probably should have been saved for, a group chat or a close friends list. So just be mindful of those things. Do set healthy social media boundaries. Don't adapt unsustainable practices. So again, going back to this idea that we can't do it all. A lot of us, when we're trying to build a business, is really not, we can't keep up. I'm in that season right now where I'm doing a lot of work on my business. I'm taking a course on agency building. I'm doing so many things within my business that it's not realistic for me to think that I can post on social media and engage the way that I thought I could before. And so I had to create that social media boundary, and really kind of just think about what was sustainable for me in the season that I'm in my life and my business. And so, just because you see all these people doing all these things, that doesn't mean that you have to do those things too, especially if it's not in alignment with where you are now and what your capacity is. And so you have to prioritize, kind of how you want to use your social media channels, and create boundaries. It's totally fine. If you need to take a break, those people will be there when you return. So just, be mindful of that. Do have at least one platform that you own, whether it's your website, an email list, etc. You want to make sure that you're never in a situation where Instagram is down for a day and that means you can make no money, or your Facebook decides to shut down all business pages for whatever reason, and now you have no way of knowing who your audience is and no way of talking to them. So your website, email list, those kind of things are great ways to kind of have a relationship and foster that relationship with your audience without worrying about things like algorithms, terms and conditions, rules, those kind of things. Don't spam accounts that you want to connect with. Thinking about, nurturing relationships online. You want to make sure it's organic. You don't want to just be about asking, but really looking for authentic and organic ways to engage with other brands and building an authentic relationship, so that then having a connection or doing a collaboration or something makes sense because you've already been someone who's been engaged with the brand. So don't spam accounts. Always look for authentic ways to engage. And then don't obsess over likes, quality over quantity. A lot of us get so caught up in the numbers. We delete a post if it doesn't have enough likes, or we think it's dumb because a lot of people didn't save it, or we didn't get enough comments saying yes and all those things. Don't obsess over that stuff. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. When someone comes to your page, you want to make sure that they are getting the fullness of what your brand is, and how many people like your post that day. It does not have anything to do with your brand. And so you want to make sure that you're focusing on quality content, quality engagement, quality conversations, over the amount of likes or followers you get. There was an Instagram influencer who had millions of followers. She launched a t-shirt line and she made 36 sales. So those are not indicative of how many people you actually have that'll support you. And on the flip side, you can have very few followers, but they trust you, they listen to you, they like your brand, you're consistent, and they become loyal customers. And so, really just focus on the quality of what you're putting out and the quality of the brand you're building over how many people are following you, liking you, and sharing your content. Lastly, things to remember. The greatest brand building moments live outside of your comfort zone. So, my mentor once told me, if your next dream doesn't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough. If you think about this next chapter you want to go into, this next level of your business or your brand, and you feel good, comfortable, like, oh, it's going to be easy, then you're not pushing yourself far enough. So the greatest moments of building your brand come right outside of where you're comfortable. So always, I like to lean into the discomfort. I like to lean into what feels, makes me nervous and makes me kind of give me a little anxiety, because that's where I know that I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track. This is scaring me. It's pushing me. I'm going to grow from this. So always go towards the outsides of your comfort zone. Remember that you're playing the long game. This is a rule that I have to remind clients all the time. We have to be consistent. We have to, have strategy, and we have to be patient. I like to say Beyonce wasn't built in a day. Her debut single, Crazy in Love, came out in 2003, where we thought she was like this incredible, groundbreaking pop star, which she is. But we thought that this was like, oh my gosh, top notch. And then 15 years later, in 2018, we get Coachella. Who would have thought 15 years later, And so it's easy to look at where you are now and think that, like, oh, I'm never going to get to my, Beachella moment. I'm never going to get to, that place. But who's willing to put in 15 years of consistently doing the work, consistently evolving, consistently changing with the times, reinventing themselves, thinking strategically about what they put out, how they engage with their audience, the level of access they have to their audience? All of those things take time. And so Beyonce was not built in a day. You are playing the long game. Be strategic, set milestones, set goals, understand that every success is a success that matters, but don't be discouraged because you think about where you are now in comparison to where you want to be. Because Crazy in Love Beyonce was not thinking about Beachella. It wasn't even her radar. Coachella wasn't even around then, I don't think. So you never really know where your career will take you. All you can do is be intentional with everything you do and be committed and stick with it. And so remember that you're playing the long game. And lastly, you create the rules of engagement. Pivot if you need to. Like I said, I am on this weird hiatus with, really going heavy with, on social media. And at first it felt kind of uncomfortable because I was so used to, having something to say. And now I'm like, I don't. And that's okay. It is okay. You create the rules of engagement. These apps will be here when we get back. Pivot if you need to. If you decide that the brand you've built all this time is no longer the brand that you want to run and you want to create and you want to pivot, then do that. You have that authority. It's your business. Who's to tell you otherwise? And so, walk in that authority that you do have the power to change and pivot, change your mind as much as you want to, that you're well within your right. And so remember those three things. The greatest brand building moments live outside of your comfort zone. You're playing the long game and you create the rules of engagement. So you can pivot if you need to. And from there, I will take questions and just want to thank you for having me today speak. This has been such a wonderful time. I hope this was helpful. I hope you took something out of it. And I would love to stay connected with you. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen. That was a mouthful, I know.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening to pull all of that together and just school us on branding. Wow.
Of course. I love to do it. I love it.
Well, if folks don't have questions tonight, that's totally fine and normal. It is a lot of information to take in all at one time. We do have our Jackson Ward Collective office hours on the 15th, I do believe, and you will be getting a follow-up email from either myself, my name is Tachi, by the way, or Rodney from the Small Business Development Center, and we will share the Zoom link with you for the office hours, where Janna will be ready to answer your questions, and maybe possibly, if you decide to do the homework, I'll walk through your homework assignment with you and give you some feedback.
Yes, and also I put my contact information there. So if you all do feel like you have, created something and you want some feedback, please, use me as a resource. I'd be happy to help even outside the office hours. I'd love to just, make sure that you all are building your brands properly. And, I'd love to work with you guys and make sure that this was, you're able to apply what we've discussed today.
Yes. I was going to say, this is a treat. This is not something that usually is found for free, and we should be incredibly grateful for Janna for offering the time. Time is money, and in this industry, time is everything. So thank you, Janna, for offering that, and take advantage if you can, and if you have the time to do your exercises, get that feedback from an industry expert. But if no one has any immediate questions, we will see everyone on Thursday's office hours. Janna, thank you so much from the Small Business Development Center. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here. And hi, all the familiar faces, everyone.
All right, y'all.
Have a good one.
I'm going to pause the recording now. Have a good one.